Good morning, everybody. It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and also 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I am now officially the co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's National Fatherhood Organization. And before even that, with the collaboration with those two brands, last year I was part of a team that reached out to over 100,000 fathers around the world. I'm very humble about that. And we're looking at even more outreach with this new online show that's premiering close to Father's Day. So we'll keep you up to date. And nice. Licky is back. Ryan Knight is back. What's going on?
Always good to see you, brother. Missed you. Hope you had a great weekend. And for those that don't know who Ryan Knight is, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. So we work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage to really figure out what stage their business is in today and help them create a blueprint to grow their companies exponentially. And we are in the midst of one of our signature programs, our investment readiness accelerator
signature program.
You know, I like how because we want to keep it going. So I think there'll be about 4 cohorts per year, 2 or 4, and really it's interesting getting to hear entrepreneurs' stories. The last session was all about what is the story of your business, and then what are your core values, and who has those core values that you want to actually sell your products to. So it's very, people get emotional about their journey, and having a way to express it and build their business is really important. So yeah, that's been happening.
No, I think that's, we always like to share with audience and teaching points. I think you said very valuable thing there, documenting your story. And my major mentor, Mario Armstrong, he said something to me a long time ago. He said, Dr. Vibe, how come 80% of the people on social media only share 20% of their story?
And usually it's the curated best parts. It's like,
right.
And that's not what really captures people, you know? It's like,
people want to be able to see, they went through their lows.
Right.
Yes. And I keep on saying this, and I know he's on me. You're not doing a Dr. Vibe. You're not doing so. Definitely, as I go on, especially with the Dad Central show with Dove Men Plus Care, going to do that more. And that's one of my goals. So people keep on me on that. So that is really good. What's been going on? We haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, enjoying the weather. Every time I see dark clouds forming now, I get anxiety. So I don't know where you were Friday, but there was a little bit of a storm that happened on Friday.
Yeah.
And somewhere got hit. That I think it was Vaughan got a bit of a heavy storm, but I saw it's just, it's weird. But now I think there's going to be like nice 4 days of just pure sun. So, hey, going to get out there, going to be detailing some cars, going to be doing our training. So excited about that. And really just getting to work with more entrepreneurs. So our accelerator, we do them Thursday evenings. So if you really want to get part of it, there's a way to sneak in, but you have to contact me. So email me at ryan.knight at acbn.com. No, sorry.
ACBN,
at ACBN Canada.
Canada.
It's right there. See,
it's right there.
Just email me if you really want to get in, but there's a bit of criteria. You do have to be making at least $2,000 per month for your business, and less than 10,000 per month. So it's kind of in that range that we work with people. But yeah, it's in full swing. For myself, we're trying to expand our company. We're actually going to do a youth entrepreneurship challenge. So stay tuned. The detail ignites. So we already have our core youth that we're working with this summer. But somebody said to me, you know what you're doing in this training, you could really condense it and just teach youth about entrepreneurship, and we should turn it into a challenge. So later this month, we are going to challenge youth in our community to start a business this summer. So the last week of June, we're going to be doing our youth entrepreneurship challenge to see if we can convince at least 100 youth out there to start a business for July and August. So stay tuned for that.
Excellent. Well, you talked about Friday. Actually, Friday evening, I went to a wonderful Black restaurant in Kingston Road in the Beaches called Bukan.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and I don't, where did I put it? Oh, yeah, I was looking. My phone's right in front of me. Had a really nice time there. Haitian restaurant, and they served everything on wood, like a core of wood. And it was really nice. Had a good time to chat with the owner there, and just seeing if I can maybe share a picture too. But really, really good time with the owner there. The waitress was fantastic. It was really, really good time. So really
and
nice.
Listen, I'll show my picture too. And I don't mean to buff them up a little bit, but to Buy Black's team and Restaurant Week, we have to make sure we have our hours of operations. We went down, my wife and I, to Bukan as well, and they were closed for lunch. And I think it was the Tuesday. I was like, why are they closed? And then we went to go to another place. So we went to Fam
Bar.
Yeah, Fam Bar.
They're only open.
Locked up.
They're only, I think a lot of them are closed on Monday and Tuesday. Like when I was at the funniest
Tuesday threw me off. I could figure Monday.
Yeah, we went in there on the Friday when we went in there, and we sat right beside he has a little board goals, and it showed this like the schedule for the week. So Monday and Tuesday closed, but it was really good time. The owner, and I feel good because he lives like 15 minutes drive from where I live. We began chatting, but I'm just gonna see. That's what we had.
Okay, was there some plantain in there?
So plantain, sweet plantain, non-sweet plantain, some sort of like dumplings but not sweet, and some chicken wings, and that's served on wood like that. It's served on a core of wood.
Listen, we're gonna get back down there, so we know Wednesday to Sunday we shall get there for lunch.
And it's not a big place. Like I would say make reservations if you can, because especially on weekends it's really busy. But it was had a really good conversation with the owner, and I was saying, he's looking forward to the summer season. And there was an event, and I didn't catch it, but there was a wine event being put on by some Black individuals on Saturday. I can't remember the name, but it was just that we're going down on that. We're going to be there. We got the restaurant open. Said, "Are you going down to Caravana?" He said, "I did Caravana once. I ain't doing it again." What he's looking to do is rent a space at Harborfront during Caravana.
Okay. Oh, so to capture the foot traffic, right? Yeah, it makes sense.
That is what he's aiming to do. And you know what? Our friend is waiting, and he has a lot to share. So I don't want to keep him going too long. He's putting on his glasses too. But big moment today, folks. We're broadcasting back on the Dr. Vibe Show Facebook page.
Excellent. All right, it's on point.
It's a little bit of a. So I gotta hang out. And give a big shout out to Agent Bay, who's based in Atlanta, who reached out to me on Friday. We looked at how to get this going. So it isn't the most smooth way, but we're doing it again. So let's get to our friend today, who's been wanting to get on for a while, and I don't think it's going to be there's not going to be a first time and last time. Let's put it that way. And I even see I saw papers. Oh my gosh, it's like a Declaration of Independence coming here. The State of the Union is coming. So I'll let you introduce him.
Sure. So, we've been able to, and he's been in the comments often.
He's been a part of the show for a while.
He's part of the family. And, there's a lot of projects that we've been able to work on together and upcoming projects. And he's more famous, I'll say, than us, but really always love to spotlight gems in our community that do the real groundwork. And when I say the groundwork, this gentleman is out there with the youth, and we have that shared mission where youth that are on the wrong path have the potential to really correct course and get on the right path with the right guidance. And so our guest today is Farley Flex, one of the co-founders of Urban Res Solutions, and just a general celebrity of Canada that we've been able to build a relationship with. So happy to have you on, sir.
Happy to be here. I celebrate the two of you, just for the record. So we're all yeah, absolutely. In terms of purpose and intention, that this show really represents what we need much more of. But the fact that you're leading the charge and taking us through conversations and ideologies and so on and so forth is really, really important. I can't stress how important it is. So I hope folks who are listening. My business partner Rod has a phrase where he says, "Tell a friend to tell a friend." Right. So if you're on it right now, just text a friend and say, "Hey, check out this show. If you have time, check out this show. I think you'll enjoy it," and yada, 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 and try to grow this audience to what it deserves to be. Right.
Thank you.
Yes. You guys are doing a great job. So
before we go any further, want to shout out people quick. Marlon Steven. Good morning. Agent Bay, that's a gentleman who helped me out with the Facebook challenge. He's here. He's down here, and he says positive vibes, family. And we also got Tim Frey. So we got the family on here. So Farley, we ain't gonna waste any time. You want go after it today. So what we starting to chat about today?
Well, today I was thinking, as you guys know, a lot goes through my mind in terms of the experiences I have, the observations that I make. And the one theme that I think I want to address today is what I refer to as attacking the gap, right? And this comes from the perspective as a Black man in Canada, and recognizing the plight that we find ourselves in as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, colonization, et cetera, and the resulting gaps that we're experiencing. We have a gap in educational attainment. We have a gap in terms of a disproportionate representation in incarceration. We have a gap in terms of wealth accumulation. We have a gap in terms of working as a unified, when you said State of the Union, I was like, oh man, if only we had a union, right?
Don't get Dr. Vibe started now.
Right.
Good.
And when I say a union, I'm talking a union that represents us. So Ryan, somebody asked me this morning, I've been doing some cycling to get back in shape and re-earn the Flex name. And and
it's National Bike Day or something today. I don't know.
Is it today? I didn't know that.
I think it's today. There's commute to work day on your bike or something.
I didn't even know that. Yeah. Okay, I work from home, so thankfully I ride outdoors though. And I rode 22 kilometers this morning, as I have for the last 9 days roughly. I started off with 11. But then as I get my fitness back, I try to do what I was doing before when I was more fit. So I did 22 kilometers today, yesterday, and the day before, I believe. Wow. But to the point of the union, my concern is that if we look at the transatlantic slave trade and colonization as a business initiative, which is what it was. Slavery is not a racist practice. Slavery is a business practice, but we were subject to it, and therefore the derivative of slavery has been racial issues and racial disparities and all those sorts of things, right? But at the end of the day, slavery was a business, and a very good one, right? As we know. There's a German professor that calculated the reparation dollar amount for the United States only as $18 trillion, right? And that excludes the educational impacts, the health impacts. This is strictly labor related. So 18 trillion, and I don't know how many mathematicians are out there, but sometimes we use these words that rhyme with million and we don't quite understand. A trillion is 1,000 billion. And a billion is 1,000 million.
Yes.
Okay. So let's understand that a billion million is a trillion. Put it that way. Right? So we really have to start to think about that and what that means, and then we can add the educational disparities and the economic effect of being miseducated, first of all, and then all the other gap creating mechanisms. And I say this respectfully with my mom within earshot of what I'm about to say. Christianity has been used to create a gap, right? A gap between who we are in terms of our identity, right? And who we actually truly are, right? So, or who we've become. So when we think about it, what I'm confused by it, I'd love to hear folks' opinions on this, is if the strategies of slavery and colonization were to take away our indigenous spirituality, our African spirituality, take away our language, and take away our names, then why are we willingly perpetuating these things? If that was the enemy, the colonizer strategy was A, B, and C, our strategy should be X, Y, and Z, the opposite of A, B, and C. Yet,
okay, but this is where I would ask the question now, because you're asking about a person that is now indoctrinated into a set way, and you're almost attacking their life, like everything that is around their, like their name, where they go to school, who they fall
the language we speak. Yeah,
everything has been really designed around us without our input.
Absolutely.
So when you shift course now, where do you feel like we need to start in order to start?
So I think we should start the things that start with the things we're capable of doing. So, for instance, you know, I love young people. I'm a father, the whole nine, and I know that when you're teaching a child mathematics, you start with the things they would know to build their confidence, and then challenge them with things that they may not know. So you say, you know, Dr. Vibe has one apple. Ryan has one apple. If Dr. Vibe gives Ryan his apple, how many apples does Ryan have? So you start at a level where people can say, I know the answer, right? And then when they show that confidence and demonstrate that confidence, then you say, okay, now if Ryan takes his 2 apples and Farley gives him 2.5 apples, how many apples does Ryan have now? And they say, 2, 3, 4, and there's a half. 4.5. You see what I'm saying? And you challenge and you build, you challenge and you build, you challenge and you build. But you have to accept the reality of challenge. There's no progress without struggle, and growth happens in the discomfort zone, not the comfort zone.
And I noticed that a lot of times the next question would be, well, if Ryan has X and Farley has Y, it's like they jump too far, where it's like you start with 1 + 1, and then all of a sudden you're doing algebra.
Exactly.
And it's like, don't want that step by step.
Exactly, Ryan. And we don't want people to jump into the realm of incapability. We want them to stay in capability mode, but build challenges. It's like going to the gym. You start off, you're benching 1 plate, 135 pounds, right? When you realize you're getting comfortable with that, you have to look for the discomfort in order to improve, to get stronger, more stamina, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to stay laser focused on the items, right? Because we're attacking the gap, but we're recognizing this. If Ryerson University is now called Toronto Metropolitan University, correct?
Yes.
If everyone sees some symbolic meaning and progression in that change, so it's been changed from Ryerson, who was a purported, or actually, I guess, proven slave trader, a human trafficker, whatever the reason is for removing the Ryerson name, and soon to be Dundas and a few other names, right? The question is, if that works on the institutional level, should I, as Farley, family last name Friedel, continue with a colonized surname? Meaning, Ryan Knight, great name, sounds fantastic, looks great on the cars, Knight, detailing knights, etc., etc. Ed Go, do you say Gow or Go, Ed?
Gow.
Ed Gow, right? Now, the problem is when we say our government names, or people read them on a piece of paper, and it doesn't exude or demonstrate some aspect of what our identity is,
it's true.
Then we're victims of what I call the hit. The hit is historical identity theft. Okay, that's the hit.
And it keeps cycling.
We're taking that hit left, right, and center, uppercuts, the whole nine. We're getting hit left, right, and center, and we're perpetuating these names that aren't actually ours. So those of you who are young enough, like myself and Dr. Vibe, to remember the TV show Roots.
Yes.
Kunta Kinte was being whipped, and they were saying, "What's your name?" He said, "Kunta Kinte." "What's your name?" "Kunta Kinte." "What's your name?" Kunta Kinte, they lashed him and lashed him and lashed him until he would accept the colonized name Toby. Right? So they were trying to expunge everything that he represented in terms of his culture. Then on top of that, language, right? So my next door neighbors are from Afghanistan. Their kids were born here, speak their language, their mother tongue fluently. Everything we are doing in this hemisphere as descendants of slavery in particular is borrowed culture. We are caricatures of white people, literally, because our faith isn't ours. The version of the faith that most of us practice is not ours. Our language isn't ours. Our names aren't ours. So how could we expect to have an identity and a respected identity when we have nothing really of our own?
I just want to interrupt you for a moment because one of the things you're always on me on is getting comments in real time.
Yeah,
so
real-time comments. Yeah.
Asian Bay saying the type of slavery we experienced was just for insidious, yes, for economics, but also for domination. Agent Bay is on fire. Tried it facts. Many of the African diaspora still carry the name of their last slaveholder. Still practice their quote religion unquote. Still accept their history. Colonization is in every component of being. I'm saying true facts. Names were changed. History was changed. Language was changed.
Yeah.
Fred Cox is saying, "Good morning, guys. This is powerful stuff. Farley, you're on point. We are up to date."
So here's what I'm going to challenge our participants with. I appreciate the accolades and the agreement. Let's be provocative here. Try and type something in the chat that doesn't necessarily just reverberate what I say, but let's add to it. Right, that's my challenge because we have a finite amount of time, right? So while I love the agreement, but let's come with ideas and challenges. So here's my challenge. I am going to change my name, just for the record.
Okay.
Right? I told Ryan this last night. I am going to change my name because I don't believe I can be a whole African man if I perpetuate the colonizer's version of my name. I can't do it.
So that's where I'm curious now because I'm thinking. And I've heard like Dr. Amos Wilson speak, and he would say, a lot of times we talk about, going back to African roots, even like leaving North America and going back to Africa. But then he also asked the question, could we not take over where we are? So is there a way in your mind to use what we have and just amplify it in a way that benefits us, or is the only way to shift?
So here's 2 words for that, Ryan. That's called surrogate healing. Okay. Surrogate healing. So here's the problem with surrogate healing. It's almost like a placebo, or there's a bunch of different ways to describe it. But here's the problem I have with that. A lot of people say, "Oh, Farley, you've had a great life. You're successful." I'm not successful until the bodies on the ground with yellow tape around them no longer by default look like me. Doesn't matter how high I rise up any ladder, right? If the bodies that have no sense of identity to them in terms of who they are, like if I say to you guys, I'm going to bring on 4 guests onto this show right now. One guy's name is George Antrodopoulos. The other person's name is Tony Morano. The other person's name is Jagmeet Khan. The other person's name is Miloš Popović, right? And there's another person named Anthony Miller and another person named Tom Smith. Which one of them is black? Guess.
Anthony?
You can't tell. Right. You can't tell. But, I've got one more friend, guys. Sorry, I forgot. His name is Robert Oniawa.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Dikembe Mutombo.
Yes.
Lonzo Nzekwe. You understand what I'm saying? So if we're walking around with Smith, Jones, Franklin, Washington, Johnson, Knight, Gow, Friedel, et cetera, we cannot, when we investigate ourselves from an introspective standpoint and we say, what do we stand for in terms of identity? Because I'll tell you what, if at midnight tonight, by some stretch of the imagination, you wipe black people off the face of Canada, what evidence is there that we were here?
There you go. That's one of the things I always say, that if black life ended today, what would be said, or what's the document of it?
What's the evidence?
What's evidence?
So hold on. What are examples of evidence? So if white people have wiped out
banks,
the earth,
schools, monuments, museums, cultural centers, The list can go on. Groceries, large-scale groceries, right? You know what I'm saying? These are the things I always talk about. What is our legacy as a people? And the problem is, as we all are aware of, and Ryan, I consider you a champion of creating bringing people with collective perspectives together. But we still have a long way to go, as we all know. But the ideology here is that we have to recognize the old African proverb, right? When we cross the river by ourselves, the alligator attacks. When we cross together, the alligators move away. Okay.
So, sorry, finish your thought.
Yeah, and so I'll close on that particular thought. So the idea is, if we are not collaborating and working in what I believe is our wealth solution, is cooperative economics. Right. And I think I shared the Mondragon example in Spain, the Basque people, who are the marginalized ethnic people of Spain, who are now the wealthiest people of Spain because they created Mondragon as the 181st largest company in the world. These are people who are marginalized within Spain. This is not the dominant caste. These are the marginalized people, right, who have now amassed more wealth than the rest of their country, who is trying to marginalize them.
Right.
So I don't understand when we see these examples, why it takes pulling and pulling and pulling to get people to the trough to drink.
You can take that's where I wanted to go with the question, but I'll ask after.
Ryan, hold on just a sec, because again, got to catch up. The comments are flying. Akua Gem says, we think in colonizers' language.
Absolutely.
Fred says, attack, brother, attack, wake us up. Agent Bay, here is one to challenge. You are not black. Ray McMillan, good morning. Or in Spanish or Portuguese, Negro. Charmaine says, some say we are trapped in history or held back because of mental slavery, as we tend to hold on to the past. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, let me respond to that, because it's a question, right? So, first of all, our history began way before slavery, as we all know. Slavery tends to be what we focus on Black History Month and so on and so forth. But we are a people of major contribution to all of the manifestations we're seeing in technology today. Many of them began with us pre-slavery. Okay, decades and decades and centuries before slavery. So we have to dwelling on the past is not just dwelling on slavery. We have to dwell on our actual past. Right? Talk about Imhotep and people like that, who were major contributors to medicine and the design of the pyramids and all these wonderful things. So the question, the response to the question is, it's about understanding, right? And again, I'm going to quote Rod again. Rod always says it's not a blame game, it's an explain game. We have to understand our history and build from that. When you talk to an Italian and you talk to them about their history, they go back to their great emperors and so forth that they perceive to have been great, right? Yes. But they have a connection to that, right? We have been disconnected intentionally so that we can be manipulated. So when Bob says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, none but ourselves can free our minds. Listen to the lyric.
Yes.
It means we have to be doing something about it, not being complacent. And again, continuing on so that our 3 generations from now, our kids' last names are still Smith. What are we doing about it?
And so, go ahead, Dr.
Ryan. Yes. I got here because of the comments.
It's all good. Yeah.
Okay, so it's Farley, comments. So Akua Gem says, we should change our name, but we need to change our mindset. We should be challenging the voice in our head.
Absolutely.
Agent Bay saying, call on your nation for its lineage, power, and wisdom. Fred Cox, I did that years ago. My African name is Adwin. I went through a spiritual ceremony to acquire that name.
Okay, so please change your name on this call from Fred Cox to Adwin. Why are you using Fred Cox? I'm challenging you on that.
All right. Agent Bay, evidence, books, documents, ownership. We also have, first, we need to change our mindset, then focus on economics.
Absolutely. But changing our name is a low-hanging fruit. People are going to say, oh, I have to fill out this and fill out that. Like that, you have to focus on the purpose. The purpose is a sense of getting closer to our true identity so that we can then be. Here's the thing, guys. We are living in cyclical dependency, whether it's grants, Toronto community housing, wherever you live. I know we have folks from everywhere. It's cyclical dependency. The only way to be respected, the way our Asian brothers and sisters, our Indian brothers and sisters, our Italian brothers and sisters, etc., they bring something to the table. So they are interdependent with government as opposed to dependent on government. We are 100% dependent. The less we can identify ourselves from an identity standpoint, right, the more we're going to be dependent on those who are defining us for us. You understand?
Right. Okay. Harris Marketing. Should someone change their government name if they've never visited Africa?
Absolutely. It's where when I look at myself in the mirror, right, I don't see British, where I was born, by the way. I was born in England. I don't see British. I don't see Canadian. I see Africa. When I look at myself every single day in the shower, which I spend time doing, right? and I look in the mirror.
You don't doubt that.
Mirror, right? And I see Africa.
Yes.
I wasn't born there. Do you know what they say? It's on my email thing. Tell me, right? It's you may not have been born in Africa, but Africa was born in you. That's in my email signature. Right? You may not have been born in Africa, but Africa was born in you. Doesn't matter where you were biologically born, but your human spirit and your identity and the things that go with identity are art, symbols. Okay, you guys tell me, what is a Jamaican symbol or a Trinidadian symbol or a Barbadian symbol?
Oh, was talking about like the flag? That's the only one I can think of.
Which one?
The flag, their flag.
No, yeah, but the flag is from an indoctrination of Eurocentric thinking, right?
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, right, the Adinka symbols of our Ghanaian brothers and sisters, there are all sorts of symbols that identify their culture. We don't have any symbols that identify our culture over here because the culture we're living is not actually ours.
Yeah,
I hear that. We're speaking English here. Ed, are you bilingual or are you monolingual?
Mono.
Ryan, bilingual or monolingual?
No, just English.
And me too, monolingual. So therefore, every word we speak is representation of a detachment from ourselves because English is not our indigenous language. Just like every time we write our name on a document, every time it's Mr. Knight there, please. It's Mr. Gal there, please. Yes. You understand what I'm saying? I'll tell you guys, spend one day. Here's my test. Spend one day, come up, look, and here's what I want people to understand and appreciate. It's not a big exact science, right? It's a feeling. It's a spirit. So if you say to yourself, I don't know what part of Africa I'm from, generally speaking, and I'm generalizing, most of us who are descendants of slavery are West African in our origins, generally speaking. So that could be Togo, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, Congo to some extent, etc., Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, etc., right? So if we pick a name that and this is called nomenclature, right? If we pick a name that identifies with that region, you pick a name and call yourself that for one day, and tell your family, please call me this for one day, not 1 year, one day, and you guys tell me you don't feel different.
True.
That's my challenge. Yeah. Tell me you don't feel different, or learn how to say hello in Twi or in Yoruba or whatever it is, and use that one morning. So your mom, your dad, your siblings, you see them and you greet them in Twi, which is the Ghanaian language, or Yoruba, which is largely Nigeria and beyond, right? And use that word for one day, not 1 year or 1 month even, one day, and tell me if it makes you feel even slightly different in a positive way. And I will guarantee you it will.
We're going to take a quick break here. I'm going to do a quick little promo break here because we got to talk about our friends, the Macmillan Group. And let me just get them up here. Nice. So the Macmillan Group is sponsoring today's episode of The Morning Vibe, and they've been providing mortgage solutions one client at a time since 1999, buying, refinancing, or investing. Call them at 905-813-4354. That's if you're in Canada. In the U.S., 904-586-5636. I did this because I want to give Farley a break. Plus,
I don't need a break.
Plus, I know you don't. I know you don't. But also, we have a question from the Macmillan Group. So I wanted to just tie everything in nicely in regards to that. So the question that they have is this, and it was so long that I had to do it in 2 tiles. This conversation about African identity is not new. It was its strongest during the 60s and 70s during the Black Power movement. What is different today that would make it more effectively and then it continues and more impactful today?
Okay, I'd love to respond. So in the 60s, when names like that we smile at now, names like Shaniqua and Deshaun and all these names that seem more Afrocentric in their tonality and their sound, right? These were that was black people trying to find themselves, to both separate themselves from the colonizer and also to find themselves, because you could choose your first name. You see what I'm saying? Like my first name, Farley, was inspired by a gentleman my mom nursed in England who treated her respectfully, et cetera, et cetera. And she liked all my siblings have names that start with the letter F. So she chose Farley for me based on those two rationales, right? So I don't have a problem with my first name, right? But my last name, I didn't have a choice in. And when you don't have choices, you said in the preamble to this show, Dr. Vibe, you said that choice and options represent freedom. So if I don't have a choice but to carry my slave master's name, how free can I actually be? So the disparity between the 60s and now is technology, makes things much more easy to propagate and inform. People have access to information that they wouldn't have had access to in the 60s. So if I hypothetically were going to go through when I go through the process of changing my name, I'm inviting as many people that want to go down on the same day as me to wherever it is we go on. I think it's 333 University or something like that in Toronto, right? And it's probably an electronic way, but I like the idea of doing it physically in person, right? Yes. And going, because the feeling will be there. Right. But I invite 100, 1,000, 10,000, how many ever people identify with this, to join me on that day and reclaim your identity. Your identity has been stolen. We see the CNN ads. Is your identity in jeopardy? Have you? Yes. Right? Our identity has been in jeopardy for 450 years. And we still haven't done anything about it. So why are we perpetuating these things? They've given us deficient educational circumstances. So more of our kids are dropping out. Right? 40% of the kids at schools in our city are black students. Only 40% are graduating. Yeah. That means 60 are going to become further dependent on the system, most likely.
Right.
Think about that. And we sit back and hope that our kids do well in our family. We have to go beyond. Ryan, you're an amazing father. I can tell you are. I've met your kids, right? You need to symbolically father more children. Symbolically. Right? Make sure everybody heard that word, symbolically.
Yes.
Right? Okay. I tell Rod the same thing. His daughter just got accepted to Waterloo. She graduated with a 98%,
we saw the post.
98% average in high school.
I think she's going into mathematics and
she's going to be an actuary.
Yeah.
Right? So when we see these things, and I've spoken to Kwame Williams about this, or much of the guys we all know, right? We cannot just father within our bricks and mortar home if we think we're good fathers. We have to go beyond and father our neighbors' children and symbolically again, right? So when we know that we've been given deficient educational opportunity of teachers who don't actually care about our children, we have to build our own schools. When we know that we're not getting the same treatment at the bank for small business loans, we have to build our own source, which is PACU, the Pan-African Credit Union. Why are we not all on board donating and finding out what's going on? How can I help? I got to talk to my neighbor. I need some information. We need to get that $15 million so FISRA can say yes. And 97% membership has to be black. All that information should be common dialogue. We should know that as much as we know who won the NBA game last night.
Right.
Literally.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? We're focused on the wrong things, right? If there's going to be one charter school in one region, there should be one in all four regions. Let's build four at the same time and realize the economies of scale. The legal fees will be divided by four. The building fees will be cheaper. Isaac verified that on a previous conversation we had, right? He said, if I build 4 schools, it's going to cost each school a lower amount to be built than if I build one at a time. Common sense. We know these things.
So this is where,
notes here, gentlemen.
This is where now I'm curious, because you said you wanted to go down. I think around your birthday, you said you're turning 50 or 60?
60.
60. So you've
60
been
going on 25.
So no, you've been doing the work in the community for some time now. And I've always been curious to get your perspective on how it's been received, because I'm seeing friction when you bring new ideas. And I'm curious. I know this isn't the first time you've had these thoughts and are thinking about doing these things. So when you've brought it up before, what has been the response and how have you dealt with that?
Well, it's like I'm a sports guy, which is why attacking the gap, for just to bring some context, is something different coaches from different sports always taught me as an athlete, right? Soccer, attack the gap. Tennis, attack the gap. Baseball, attack the gap. Football, attack the gap. Basketball, attack the gap. Okay, the gap is the weakest point, and when you attack the gap, right, then from the defensive standpoint, you're closing the gap. So the offense attacks the gap, the defense closes the gap. So we have to have a two-pronged strategy. The resistance I've received is from people who are fearful of losing their income because, again, poverty creates and deprivation affects the mindset. The mindset is, I have to survive. But just so folks realize, in many indigenous cultures, there's no word for I or me. It's we.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like I've been to probably every reservation on this country, hence my indigenous garb, which you guys didn't notice today. The indigenous
I was missing the caveat.
Yeah, no not today. This was given to me by I was adopted into a Cree family years ago, right? Okay. Spiritually adopted, and this was one of the gifts they gave me, along with an eagle feather, which I'm very proud of. That's why I say it. But the point being, if we look at all of these issues, the people who are resistant to them are the people who feel they've either on their way to making it, right, or have made it and don't want to accidentally turn back by being too risk-taking, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to cherry pick our teams, right? We have to pick the right point guard. I'll use basketball because that's the most popular sport right now. So we need the proper point guard. The person who did that, Ryan, is a point guard. He disseminates information. The information is the basketball. You see what I'm saying? Then you have people like Isaac Olawalafe, right? He delivers, right? He's built his hotel. He's built Dream Wealth Management. He's opening an insurance company. He's got a technology hub. He's a doer. He's the workhorse. He's the guy who gets the basketball to the rim, right? He might pass it. He might shoot, or he might throw an alley, an alley-oop is a pass. So he might throw an alley-oop to somebody who can slam dunk it. And I'm hoping that's the guys like Wes Hall. You see what I'm saying? Because Wes Hall is connected in ways that many of us aren't. But the problem is we are not working together. That's the problem. So Wes Hall, Isaac, Ryan, Dr. Vibe, who's also a distributor of information, et cetera, right? And then there's a two guard. The two guard can distribute, but they can also pass, et cetera. You guys understand it, right? Yeah. We need to build an intellectual team of players who play specific categorical organizational roles. Nadine Spencer at the BBPA, Floydine at CAFCAN, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We need to build an asset map and figure out who are the doers in our community as opposed to the ones who want to, and it's no disrespect to someone who wants to follow the lead. I don't have a problem with people like that because not everybody can lead, right? But the fact is when we're complacent and we wallow in the colonizer existence, we are never going to be equal that way. That I will guarantee you.
Well, and that's where real quick,
Ryan, take it short because I got
to close out that analogy. To do. Yeah, to close out that analogy, it's a lot of times we don't know who to pick for our team, and people will always ask me, "It's like, oh, why do you always invite everybody to everything?" It's because it's almost like summer camp. It's like, listen, you're doing basketball camp. And then you're gonna see who's actually serious.
The cream rises to the top.
The only way. Yeah. So sorry. Go ahead, Dr.
Or as we say, we want the greedy, not the needy. Think about that. The only ways
to see through action is how people actually get things done.
And what everybody needs before you go, Dr. Vibe. Right. Yes. One thing I want to say to Ryan's point is that not only does the cream rise to the top, but it's also important to understand that the term human being is a verb. People think it's just a noun, but any ing word is an action word: walking, talking, swimming, dancing, right? So if you're not being active as a human being, you're not actually being human.
Okay.
So every single person has to do something to become a better version of themselves on a consistent basis, day in, day out. Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours. There's a million examples out there. But we have to make sure we're part of whatever it takes to attack the gap on offense and close the gap on defense. right? If you're not doing anything, if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing, in my opinion. There's no middle ground.
That's the big thing too, is that we typically are always on defense and we have to shift the offense. When you talk about attacking the gap, we first have to realize that we're on offense. So, sorry, go ahead, Dr. Van.
All right, we got to catch up here, folks. We got to catch up. So take a break. Joseph says,
don't read the I agree comments. I respect and appreciate them, but they're taking up time.
We have to unlearn. We still do not trust each other because we do not trust ourselves. Without identity, we lack confidence in self. We have to own our story.
So meet me at the name changing ceremony then. I see that's what I'm saying. Where's the action? I want to see actions, folks, please.
Okay, agreed. Change your name or better correct your name. This is immediate.
I'll meet you at the naming ceremony, whoever that was.
Africa is born in us.
Yeah.
Farley speaking from a tremendous education base. We know that. Agent Bay, I hear so many saying, quote, I am not African because I wasn't born in Africa. But we, on another instance, will call Asian, even though they live outside Asia.
Exactly.
Good point.
Okay.
Good point. Of course, we should organize some classes for our youth to teach them and ourselves indigenous languages.
Absolutely. Twi,
Yoruba, let's start with a school that educates our children about our history. Base Farley is speaking so powerfully from fact. We don't know our history. Many of us don't.
True.
Okay. Farley, many of our own African-born brothers and sisters don't identify with us and have defined and differentiate us. Your thoughts.
Change your name and see what happens.
Okay. Thanks, Farley. Adween it is. Our people need to be willing to do the research. Start with Stolen Legacy, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, Echoes of the Dark Land, great collection of our history. But Fred, he wants you to change it in right now. Like change your ID
on the screen. I don't want to see
Akua Gems. I'm coming. People, Change says people need to travel not for vacation, but for fact finding.
Or for both, yes.
All right. We need our own. I don't like schools, not one school. We need schools.
Okay.
Schools, exactly.
All right. Speak about and honor all our indigenous cousins. We need a think tank. All right. Everyone has a role to play. Ryan. Okay. Is the focus on name changing more symbolism more than anything else? Well, I understand my mother and siblings all renamed during the 70s. The focus should be more on creating economic cohesion. Farley, any
it's both. It's both. It's not one or the other. It's both.
Okay.
Okay. So one quick point, gentlemen, if I may.
Yeah.
So here's the distinction. Understand that Filipinos, many of them have Spanish last names.
Yes.
South Asians, people in India who are also colonized partially by the Spanish, have Spanish like Fernandez and those names we see in the Guyana, Trinidad, et cetera, right? A lot of Filipinos' last names, Costa, names like that. So the difference though is they still have their own language. Tagalog, I believe it's called for Filipino people, right?
Yes.
It's still their language. So their cultural identity is still more intact than ours is. You understand?
Okay.
They're very most of them are Catholic. But and most of their names are Hispanic, but their language is their own. South Asian, Hindi, et cetera, their last names, those who don't have indigenous Indian names and have the Hispanic last names, they still have their language and their faith, et cetera, and what they may not have is the name. So again, we have to look at ourselves relative to other people who deem themselves marginalized. BIPOC should be spelled capital B, capital I, lowercase p, lowercase o, lowercase c, because the Black and indigenous experiences are egregiously different than the POC.
So here comes an interesting
when they put us in a bucket and say BIPOC, and then we get the Black Youth Action Plan and the South Asian community call the government, what about us? Your experience, with great respect, and I have friends from both cultures, right? Yes. But your experience is not the same as ours. I don't know who the heck I am. That's my problem. I have no idea who I am because my identity was stolen. Simple as that.
Macmillan Group, the other communities Farley mentioned all live in homogeneous neighborhoods where it is what's easy to see and exalt each other's growth. Most Black people live in isolation. This makes growth difficult.
Absolutely.
All right. Fred, Fred Cox saying, "Don't know how to do that. Google doesn't make it easy."
we're gonna figure it out.
Fred, let me tell you something. If you could change your real name and you don't know how to change your virtual name, we got problems, bro.
Agent Bay, my full name, Kofi David Matthew Olatunji.
That's what I'm saying. So if I say to my mother, my friend Olatunji is coming to my house, she knows it's an African.
Yes.
If I say my friend Rod Brereton's coming to my house, she doesn't know what the guy looks like.
Right. Yes.
So, like, I don't see why people don't have a problem with this. I have a major problem with that. A major problem.
Ryan, I've cut you off for too long. Come back.
No, listen, and again, being able to listen and learn, but also, like you mentioned, I like my name. So I like the name my parents gave me, and my last name.
Yeah, we're talking about last names here. First name's fine.
Yeah,
Ryan's
so
fine.
But that's what I'm talking about, like the last name now. For those that want to keep it and say, like, listen, but then I don't know the history of it, and that's key. So I would be curious, and maybe it's us actually digging into our history to say, just like they did with Ryerson, it's like, yay, when somebody actually opened the book and said, who was this guy?
Yeah.
Then they realize, and maybe I'll find that out, or maybe I'll find out it's something good. But maybe that when comments were coming in saying about the mindset, when you just throw out, okay, change your name, Ray's like, oh, that's just symbolism. But maybe if we get this into schools, well, getting it into schools is difficult. I say we create our own learning path. And we say, listen, come and learn about your name. Bring your last name. Let's dig into it. And if you find something that you don't agree with, changing your name would be the next best option. But that's kind of where my mind is kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so your point's well taken, and of course we love our names based on our histories. Like, you know, I can understand my mom saying, "Oh, Charles is my father's name." Oh, I get all that.
It goes right to my dad. I'm like, hey, I love having my dad's name, right? Yeah,
I get all that, but that name would not be yours if it were not for slavery. And if it were not for colonization. Like, has anybody seen the movie The Atunjis at the Round Table? No, it's the Knights at the Round Table.
Okay, yes.
Right? So if I come out with a movie, The Olatunjis at the Round Table, you know, people are going to be like, oh, what's that all about? But it'll be this exact same thing. But the king won't be Arthur. It'll be Imhotep. You see what I'm saying? So let's be real with this. We have to make sure, like when I watch Giannis Antetokounmpo, hear what he said. He's considered Greek by the NBA. Right? But he says, when I go home, I'm a Nigerian. I love when he said that, because Giannis is a Greek first name, which is fine. It allows him to assimilate and maybe not be teased in elementary school or whatever else. But his last name is Antetokounmpo. Come on, man. The rhythm and the beauty of that. And he said, so they asked him something about his Greek heritage. He goes, I was born in Greece. I live in Greece, yada, yada. But when I go into my mother's home, I am a Nigerian.
Okay.
How beautiful is that? Come on. So people powerful. Reach. What I want people to do is reach for the feeling. That's why I gave the example. One day, just use a Twi or Yoruba terminology to greet your mom or your family or whatever it is. Tell them to call you a name that's African in identity for one day only, and tell me how you feel. You can check me on Instagram at Flex Original. That's probably the best place. Or you could call me. I want people to call me. I love conversations, and you can tell, especially conversations when I'm the only one speaking.
Right. Listen.
But I'm serious.
Not with this crowd. You're gonna get the back and forth. Like,
I love it. I'm just teasing. But seriously, 416-998-6562. I live for these conversations. If there's an action plan attached. But I don't want to just talk. I want to see action. Anybody who wants to go down with me for the name change, I'm calling it ceremony, but I don't really, that's all whatever. But the name changing process, right? Let's go on the same day. I would love that. My birthday's on August 9th. Okay, so we have time, right? I would love for you guys to join me. And the person who referenced the symbolic nature of it, the symbol, as I said, is a form of identity. When you look up what culture is, part of cultural definition are the symbols we have in the Western Hemisphere. There is not one Black symbol that I'm aware of, because we were colonized. But when I look at one of my screensavers or not backgrounds on my Zoom is the Adinkra chart. I have all the Adinkra symbols in my background because I want to identify with who I am. Right? Without anybody, without question, without wondering. Like, I have my indigenous name that I was given for the work I do in Aboriginal communities is Howling Wolf, right? Because I'm loud and I say it, tell it like a TI is, as they say. Right? Yes. So they named me spiritually Howling Wolf, right? I accept that because it connects with my identity.
Yes.
You get it?
Yeah.
No, I have to agree with you. One of the greatest experiences I've had is going into the indigenous culture for a week in Yellowknife.
Beautiful thing.
And one of the things that really stuck out, and Farley, I'm sure you can read, their respect for elders is huge.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you brought that up.
It's absolute. Like, I was at a conference, and it was a 4-day conference. At the beginning of each day, elders would open in prayer. At the end of each day, an elder would close it in prayer. I don't see that here.
Okay, so Ed, myself, Ryan, and our brother Victor, formerly Victor Bosley, now renamed Baba Yao. Is his Ghanaian. He lives in Ghana now. He's changed his name to again reclaim his identity and rename himself. We have the power to do it, right? So we are establishing, and with the help of everyone on this call and anyone who wants to contribute, what we call an Elders Council. It's one of our principal African heritage symbolic milestones, rites of passage, whatever you want to call it. We don't have an Elders Council here in this country because we're fragmented. I'm a Trini, I'm a Jamaican, I'm St. Lucian, I live in Vancouver, I live in Montreal. Who cares? When the clan comes to town, we're all black people. They're not going to say, leave the St. Lucians, they're not as black. The clan doesn't look at it like that, right? And when I say clan, I mean figuratively speaking, right? So we're going to identify to the best of our ability with the help of the communities that they come from, elders who have lived exemplary lives that we're benefiting from, by the way. Right, the Denham Jollies, the Zanena Candays, the Gene Augustines, the Alvin Curlings, and the Rustum Southwells in Vancouver, Senator Donald Oliver. And I met a woman in Edmonton when we were doing Say Loud, who's a retired transportation executive who marched with a Fua Kupa in Memphis. Right, she lives in Edmonton. We wouldn't know about her here in Toronto, but she's a bona fide elder.
True.
You see what I'm saying? That we should be looking for guidance from. We should be on the way up. Let's say hypothetically it's me and I find out I'm going to be a judge on Canadian Idol. I should be made to go before my elders and say, I have an opportunity to represent our people. I need your guidance. And then if I flop and do something stupid on the show and I get kicked off, hypothetically, I have to meet those elders on the way down too and say, I failed you. You understand? Right now, we have people who are in leadership positions, but I don't know if we have actual leaders in the context that we need. Ryan is a leader in community. Absolutely. You're a leader, Ed. You're absolutely a leader. But what we need to more structural, right?
Council. Like getting
and that's where leadership with guidance. It's one thing to deem yourself a leader, but the guidance,
all right.
Up and down, like you said.
Dan and Jolly, I refer to him as my friend-tor because he's a very close friend and my mentor. And I'll tell you, sit down with that guy for 5 minutes, not 6 or 7, 5 minutes, and he will edify your existence within 5 minutes, as does my mom.
All right. Just to hail up Denham Jolly. Denham Jolly and my father have been friends for over 70 years. They went to high school together at Cornwall College.
Beautiful.
So
what's your dad's first name?
Same as mine. Right?
Ed?
So when they get together, or my dad says, I want to go see Mr. Jolly, I say, I'm there. I don't even say a word. I just listen. Listen. But the last time I was with Mr. Jolly, wow. Hour and a half. I just never forget that conversation. So fully agree. Let's catch up on conversations here. Farley, are we starting drafting season for our team to attack the gap? I'm ready to work.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Right?
Ryan and I and Ed are scouting as we've been scouting.
Yes.
We continue to scout. Ryan has brought over 50
camps have been happening.
At least 50 organizations have come under the ACB. I don't know the number, Ryan, but a multitude of organizations are recognizing that there's power in numbers. And at the Ecosystem Conference on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, we're going to be talking about all aspects of industry and how working together is it's not an option. It's the only answer. Here's what people got to realize. There's no second option.
Right. Agent Bay says, I have my name and my identity, history, creed, and principles. This is what makes me my own state of human being.
Absolutely.
He says, expire the slave name. This is it, period. Okay. Farley, will your entire family change their name with you?
I've presented it to my children. Here's the thing. To me, as you said, I'm going to reiterate, freedom is choice and options. I'm not forcing anybody to go anywhere with me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to lead by my own example. If my children choose, my mom, whomever choose, it's all good. Right? But it's about me for now, not in a cocky way, obviously, but it's about what I'm feeling. They may not be feeling the way I feel, right? So I'm not trying to enforce it on anybody. If you come by choice, then I'm happy to hear your voice. But I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. That's not my role.
Harris Marketing.
And my children are all adults, by the way.
Okay. A slave owner who gave you his name because you were considered 3/5 a human, looking for the goodness in your slave name is an attempt to avoid the difficult conversation with your own history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Macmillan Group. From my perspective, the name change should be done with thought, not just randomly assuming an African name. Do the research to actually know our lineage. Put some effort into the process.
Unfortunately, Ancestry.com and those platforms are not proven to be accurate, number one. And if you think about the transatlantic slave trade, for those of us who are descendants of it, there was no documentation that took place to connect us back to our heritage. That's why I said it's more of a geographical reference than a specific neighborhood reference. I have a friend who's doing ancestral real estate. He's helping people buy land in the places where they think their ancestors were living. I could tell you again, when you go to Jerusalem, to Israel, and you go to the Holocaust Museum, the Germans were such meticulous documentarists. They have the date, the time, and the name of the person as they went into the gas chamber. So if my name is Bernie Finkelstein, I can go to Israel and I could see when, where, and everything about my grandparents going into the gas chambers. We don't have that as Black people. So with great respect to the specificity that person is asking we have, that is going to take a colossal amount of time. And I'm not waiting to feel like Farley. I want to feel like Farley on the day that I choose to do this. If hypothetically I choose a Ghanaian name and really my ancestry is from Nigeria, I don't care. All I know is it's not colonized. That's my objective. Not to have the accurate placement of whatever, because I want to I can't explain any differently.
Open for discussion, saying if we are the original people on this planet, aren't all our last names created by us?
No, they're not. Unfortunately, no, they're not.
Okay.
I can elaborate on another that, but I don't think
that'll be part 2.
That's another conversation. Yeah.
If we're indigenous to the planet, that'll be part 2. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Farley, anything else? You were on fire. Well, we knew you're going to be on fire.
So just rationale wise, attack the gap, recognize the gaps. We all know what the gaps are. We all know when we hear there's a shooting in Toronto, what does our heart tell us? Oh Lord, I hope it's not a Black person, right? That we that's a gap.
Yeah.
Right. When we see that our kids are not, Rod and another student I work with, Rod's daughter and another student I work with went to Waterloo's tour on the weekend. You know what the student told me? I could read it to you in text if I could find it quickly enough. I said, congratulations, you did it, young man. He says, yeah, but the only thing, there's not very many people like me here. That's a gap.
Right.
We're sending our children to school not as prepared as they need to be to excel in education. It's not just a blame game. What do we do when we close the gap? Let me ask you guys a question. Look at my fingers. Will a gap close quicker if one hand moves to the other or if both hands move towards the center?
Right.
Yeah.
We have to do our part. We have to hold ourselves accountable. If we're perpetuating the impact of slavery, we're perpetuating generation after generation by doing nothing about it, right? Then don't expect Trudeau or any of his successors to wake up one day and say, guess what, black people, we just figured out you're equal. Right. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Agreed.
So, yeah, it's got to be action-based. You're an action guy. Ryan, you're an action guy. Marlon's an action guy. Tim's an action guy. I don't know everybody on the call. I know my good friend Diane Thompson, who's like one of my, she's like my soulmate, right? She probably didn't chime in, but I know she's listening, right? But she's an action person. We need to really be bold, courageous, and objective about the roles we're playing. Who all this money that's come down in what I call the George Floyd window, is it in the right hands? Have we scrutinized that?
Right.
To make sure the right people with banking, fiduciary expertise, and so forth are handling it from an entrepreneurial growth and wealth management perspective, right? Or is it going to go through the cycle of funding? People are getting entrepreneurial loans. They may not be ready. The acumen may not be there yet. Ryan said it. Before that money was doled out, there should have been an educational assessment about who's ready to turn that money into wealth. Not just give it out and so the government can say, we gave 347 people.
They get to check it out.
Box and move on.
Yes.
Right? We got to be objective, Ed. It's like being a parent. Your child comes home with 45 on their math test. Oh, at least you tried. No. Or you lose your soccer game. Did you have fun? Like these things, we have to win. Last example, Usain Bolt, right? Now, this is the analogy. We're in a 450-year human foot race, okay? The reason Usain Bolt achieves the times he does has done in the 100 meters is because he's a tall man, his stride is longer, and his turnover speed is equal to those who are shorter than him. He's like basically a mag wheel. So he covers more territory in a shorter distance than his competitors. If we do not increase our racial stride, our African stride, whatever you want to call it, and increase our turnover speed, we will not catch up to those that we know we are not, in this particular circumstance in the world, equal to in all the categories of educational attainment, incarceration rates, wealth, home ownership, etc. All the stuff we all know that we need to fix. Attack the gap.
All right. Joseph says, tell it like it is. Harris Marketing says, name change at 60 is different than in your 20s. It'll be cool at any age. I am down. Marie says it's no longer about waiting for others to give us ish. It's about us taking the reins and working with each other to build our communities. And Marie says, snaps. All right.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, so who's meeting me? Here's the day. August 9th, right, which is a Tuesday, right? So those of you who
put your little Eventbrite and we'll put it out.
You're better at that stuff than me. So if you promise to help me, let's get it done. Because you're better at that than I am.
Consider it done.
August 9th.
Yeah.
As early as possible in the day, obviously 9 a.m. or whenever the office opens. If I have to do some research, I don't even know the process yet. I'm just in it, as the Jamaicans would say.
Yes.
I'm already there. I'm already in line or wherever, if there's a line, right?
Yes.
But the process has to happen, right? And my full intention is to do it on my birthday, just for the symbolic reasons again, right? If I do it on the 10th, as long as it gets done. But my goal is the 9th. I want people to know that. I'm a busy guy, so who knows what's going to happen on the 9th. The goal is, I think it makes sense to be more memorable to me, not to other people. Again, I'm not trying to force anybody or do whatever. I just tell it like a TI is, as the last person said, right? And if folks see some relevance in it and want to go so that there's strength in numbers, so the government can say, hold on, why are there 4,000 black people outside waiting in line peacefully, right? Hey.
There we go.
People start paying attention.
So there is Farley's contact information. Marie says August is Emancipation Month, so this makes sense.
There you go. Symbolism. There you go.
Mr. Farley,
love it.
Much thanks for everything today. Thanks for challenging all of us. Everyone who's watching this live on the replay, and he will be back.
Okay, happy to be back.
All right, my 100%. Brother. As always,
we'll talk soon.
Blessings to you, your family, the community, and everything that you are doing in a positive way to help all of us.
I've received a couple of texts directly. I encourage everyone to text me if you're interested in either extending this conversation or joining me on the day of. Let's plan it properly. So, because some people have to get the day off of work, all kinds of stuff is going to come up. And trust me, your comfort is going to tell you, oh, I can't miss work. Your comfort's going to tell you, oh, well, maybe I'll wait till it's my birthday. Your comfort's going to tell you all sorts of stuff. Get into your discomfort zone, folks. That's where growth happens. It never happens in the comfort zone.
True.
Right? So get uncomfortable, and I'm happy to join you.
My brother, take care, be well, and keep the faith. All right, guys. All right. We had a fired up conversation today, Dr. Knight.
Right? I'll change mine to Dr. Knight.
That's not your last name, right?
I know. I can't let go.
It's not your last name.
Yes.
Oh, that is fantastic. So let's a few last comments. Agent Bay, thank you. Excellent live. Thanks, family. And Agent Bay,
thanks for being
here. Helped make this known with your comments, but we broadcast on my Facebook today because of you. Marie says, thanks, Ryan and Dr. Vibe.
Oh, much appreciated, Marie.
Akua Gems, excellent reasoning. Thank you. Good stuff. Ryan, what is up for the rest of the week?
Yeah, listen, it's getting caught up. We have some conversations with entrepreneurs happening and then preparing for Friday. But Thursday is our accelerator. So again, hey, my email's here. If you are interested in sneaking in, let me know. But looking forward to our next session. How about you, sir?
I have something I have to get to you, but it's somewhat of a quieter, somewhat, not a quiet, but somewhat of a quiet week, but working on next steps, broadcast wise, looking at doing some different things, but a little bit quieter. If you're in the Southern Ontario area, please stay cool today and tomorrow, especially tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to be really, really hot and humid. So
if you're outside, keep hydrated.
Yeah, keep hydrated, or just to do that because it's going to be really hot out there. But outside of that, that's it. And you can catch replays on the Dr. Vibe Show website, Ryan's with ACBN, Facebook page, ACBN, YouTube page, Ryan O'Neill Knight, YouTube page, all those different places. So we're going to end off with this, family. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And also, don't just manage your time. Manage your energy. We'll see you on Friday. Be well. Keep the faith.